This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We have a 4-game Tuesday slate here on tap, and it is a big Tuesday slate here, James, because we have the return of none other than Ja Morant over his, gun suspension, whatever they officially suspended him for. It was the firearms incidents, the multiple firearm incidences that he had last season. He's back. He's going to be active in this game. DraftKings has bumped his price up to $9,300 to start him off. He's got a matchup here on the road against the Pelicans, but obviously getting him back now in the rotation of things on Memphis's roster, a big storyline in itself.
Yeah, and he's been able to practice with the team and stuff, so he should be full capacity right away, right? Could there be rust? Could there be some type of limitation? Possibly, but nothing suggesting that. And plus, the Grizzlies stink, so they need to win games in every game, basically. I mean, in the Western Conference is really good. Just to get into the play-in tournament, it's going to be a uphill battle, but it is a very exciting time. 9,300 is a really good price. Really good price for Ja Morant right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a lot last year. He, when going good, was like a 10K play. You and I talk a lot about Trae Young this year, and they kind of waver back and forth on his price tag. Some days he's like mid-9, some days he's over 10. They'll give us that with Ja Morant a lot of the times, but at $9,300 is a price point that we do kind of want to, get some exposure to. Now, I'm a bit hesitant to get him off the rip here. Yep. Because like you said, it's been a while since he's played an actual NBA game. We don't know if they are going to have any sort of limitations. They can't really afford to limit him because, like you said, they're losing a lot of games. They got blown out on Monday night. They ended up basically playing 12 guys in that game. We got to figure out the rotation of players now and how Morant jumps right in an offense that's used to just having Desmond Bain have the offense run through him and Triple J run the offense through him. And at some point, Marcus Smart is going to rejoin. I don't know if that's going to be in this game, right? Smart's sort of been day to day for a little bit. Was ruled out for the Monday slate, but could be back sooner rather than later here. So I get the initial appeal for Ja Morant, especially on a 4-game slate. And it's not even really a good 4-game slate, as we'll go over each matchup here. I get for the tournament appeal, but I think overall I kind of want to take a sit back and watch approach with Morant in this particular matchup. And I want to see him play the 34 minutes and kind of see how he looks out there. Once he gets going in the score.
It isn't the most exciting 4-game slate, but there is a ton of big names. I mean, it would obviously be better if Victor Wembanyama was playing, but
yeah, that's the sad one. I wanted to see Wemby versus Giannis, right? We all wanted to see, Wemby versus Giannis here, and Wembanyama ruled out for this game for San Antonio, and that game has a 16.5-point spread. I mean, that's
in a 250 game total.
Yeah, a 250 game total. That's something. So, and it's a pop team. So you don't know what's going to run, what that lineup's going to look like without Wemby, what their rotation will be like. And then when they do eventually get blown out, how long does Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and Zach Collins and all those guys, play? So super risky from the San Antonio side, obviously risky from the Milwaukee side for the exact same reason. Maybe Lillard and Giannis go for 70 3/4, right? But a lot to talk about. You have Phoenix, Portland on this slate as well. Another high spread there with Phoenix on the road going into Portland, but still big favorites. And then Boston on the road going into Golden State, with Golden State being a home underdog, which is something we almost never see. So it's an interesting slate to get into, and we might as well just jump into it. Here looking at this 4-game main slate. Let's break it down by game here since it's just 4 games. We'll go overall. Looking at the Memphis side of stuff here. Again, Morant is $9,300. top price player on the team. Desmond Bane, 87, a little bit of a price drop from what we're used to. Same thing with Triple J at 82, a little bit of a price drop from what we've seen over the last couple of slates for him here. Is there anybody on Memphis that you're interested in playing? Are you going to plug in Ja Morant right away off the rip here?
I think it's really hard to play someone like Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson, given their prices with Ja Morant. Like 30% usage rate to Bane and Jackson, no more, right? Like that's just, they're not to say that they're not going to have a big role, but they're just not Ja Morant at the end of the day. Like Ja Morant is the star of this team. Does that happen from day one? I don't know. I'm okay with Ja at 93. I guess, if he's low owned or if there's word that there's no limit, I mean, why not take a stab at someone who's going to be a 10K player probably for the remainder of the year? Bane, you can get to. It's a good spot. Jaren Jackson's really tough to get to. I guess if there's anybody else, like maybe if we get no Bismack again and Xavier Tillman starting at center, he was pretty bad shooting the basketball. He was 0 for 8, but he had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and a steal. If Xavier Tillman in 25 minutes, if that game stays competitive, he's playing 30 minutes, and he likely not going to go 0 for 8 from the floor again. So like, it's probably Ja, and then maybe if Bismack is out, Xavier Tillman. I don't know if you can get to anybody else. Like Roddy had been starting, didn't start. Does Vince Williams still start? Probably not. And he, for what he started the game.
Minutes kind of hurt him in that one, obviously.
Yeah, it did.
He played 23 minutes in that blowout. He had 5-5-1. I mean, if he played the 30 minutes, maybe he would have gotten there. A couple more shots, maybe one would have dropped for him, or a few more boards, and we got you the 20, fantasy points there. Zaire Williams is the one that had the big day off the bench. 22 minutes, hit basically, 50% of his shots there. 7 rebounds and 5 assists is kind of interesting for him. 19, but again, it's impossible to know who is going to do what on this team. We don't even have Luke Kennard officially out for this game. Like, if he comes back, if Smart comes back, if Memphis rolls into this game like
fully healthy,
right? Like, who knows what we're going to see and how to play that. On the opposite side of this matchup, Zion, Ingram, McCollum, Valanciunas, Murphy, Herb Jones. Like we talked about this the other day, the fact that this entire team is under 8K makes them appealing because they're all, or at least the top 2 guys, probably over 8K plays. Definitely Zion, more of a mid 8K play. Valanciunas has been playing really well. Murphy's been playing really well. So, I definitely think I could get to some plays here on the Pelican side of this matchup because if Ja does make this game more competitive now,
right,
these guys are all going to blow by what their projections are.
Agreed. I think the Pelicans are really appealing. At this moment, I don't know how I'd rank the 7K tier. I do know that none of them are playing as well as Jonas Valanciunas has played lately. Just over the last 4 games, I mean, he has been a freaking machine, scoring and doing really everything, rebounding. Finally, right, giving him minutes. They've won all these games too, and
I mean, he had 43 fantasy points in 23 minutes against Wemby and crew, right? I mean,
it's not bad.
We've been begging for this for.
I know we have.
It feels like a decade at this point.
I mean, since he was in Toronto, yeah, right? He was literally playing 20 minutes with Toronto. Starting playing 20 minutes, we're like, are we being serious?
We're not the only ones that look at this per 36, right? The guy's a monster. Right? What are we doing?
So like, I don't know how I'd rank them, but I will say that they're all underpriced to what their like, honestly, probably like median projection is and what their ceiling obviously is. I think the Najee Marshall news is a little interesting because that would definitely give the likes of like Trey Murphy a couple extra minute bump. That would give Herb Jones a few extra minute bump, who again, Herb foul trouble, never needed to come back into that game, and Trey Murphy was getting blowout run.
Yeah, Murphy's obviously super appealing because you know what his role is. At least we know he's pretty much locked into that 24 plus ish minute role, and he's on the floor to shoot. Right, love that. We say that all the time. Love shooters. But we're also now getting rebounds, some assists. Like he's rounding out his game. A guy that they took 2 years ago, I think it was, or last was it 2 years ago that they had him, or was it last year?
This was year number 4. He got the extension in the
Okay.
off season.
But we've kind of waiting for him to sort of come around. We knew what he could be as an offensive player.
This is third year before I look it up, I think.
Okay, yeah, it feels like third year to me.
2021 17th overall pick.
Yeah, okay. So this is a guy that we knew when they drafted, he could score. He was an offensive player, kind of just waiting for his opportunities. He would flash it occasionally. Last year got more involved, obviously, really showed what he could do when given the extra playing time, got hurt. This is year 3 breakout almost, Murphy. Now he still has to play this 6-man role because he's got Ingram, Zion and McCollum kind of ahead of him, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing. And as long as he's going to hang around under 6K, like he's so uncomfortable throwing in there, knowing that he could just break a slate. He could go hit 6 threes out there in 25 minutes one day.
Dude, he is exactly what this team. Truthfully, I think he unlocks this team and could. And I'm not saying it just because of him, but he could take them to a different level,
right?
Because they didn't really have the space. Like McCollum can shoot threes and Ingram's fine. This dude is a sniper. Shot 40% from 3 last year, shooting 40% again this year. He just makes his team so much better.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully agree. They're gonna and doesn't hurt that he has shooting guard small forward eligibility here.
No, right. The goated of eligibility here.
I will say I'll just give quick, maybe a little extra love to someone like Alvarado or Dyson Daniels if Najee Marshall's out. Sure. Those two would obviously be the 2 guys that could poised to get extra run here.
Yeah, and with Ja Morant on the other side, they're going to want some defensive guards out there on the floor. We know what Alvarado can obviously do, and he's gotten over 20 minutes now in the last 2 games. One of those was the 30-point blowout, but in the competitive game against Charlotte there, got 21 minutes, didn't really hit much of a shot, so they get to the free throw line for a small guy, somehow grabbed 8 boards. So, just hyper active.
Yeah, super active.
Is Alvarado. And then you mentioned, Dyson Daniels obviously brings them a little bit more length if they feel like they need that there as well. San Antonio, Milwaukee, like we said, this game has a 16.5 point spread. Wemby's been ruled out. I don't know who you can trust to play at this point. Are you game theory playing this one out? I know you've talked about I'm not looking at the spread anymore, projecting blowouts, but I mean this is 16.5 points here
without their best player.
Without their best player, right? So I know Keldon and Vassell won't play, but would he let Branham play all the minutes just in the blowout? Does Trey Jones, Champagne, whatever it is, does he play the minutes there?
What do you think happened? What do you think the starting lineup is? I mean, Collins, you think that's just easy?
Yeah, I think
Collins just starts.
Back in.
Then
Bassey's out, so
Mamu Keshvili.
Revenge game for Mamu here?
Yeah, I forgot. We got a little revenge game. So I think the ownership on Vassell is going to come in pretty high. He's been pretty popular every slate.
It's just that we just saw what happens, right? And we did this the other day too. He not the other day, but they get blown out a lot. But there was a time recently where they were big underdogs. All right, we could probably play Vassell whenever they eventually get blown out. We just hope he plays more minutes, and he just played 30.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good to know he's going to get 30, but he has to get you 35 fantasy points in 30 minutes.
How popular is Collins?
It's possible.
How popular is Collins? 4,900.
Probably popular at 4,900 because again, it's less of a range for him to not hit value, right? If you assume that he gets 25, 30 minutes just as a starter at 4,900, he can get 25 fantasy points there. So
he's the most popular Spur, right? For sure. Almost undoubtedly most popular.
Probably.
Just 4,900, no Wemby, he's going to start. It's just
well, we assume he's going to.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, that laughs at it all. That laughs at it all.
Sohan all of a sudden starting at the 5, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because
And
he's 6'11", so like.
I mean, all the other stuff you mentioned, like Champagny and McDermott and like
I
Devontae
mean, Devontae
Graham.
Graham might get a little run. I mean, he hasn't really, but
The
who
only
played the blowout? Let's see that. Who played the 30-point blowout? He only got 14 minutes. Did he just play 20 guys? Probably just to toy with us. 16 for Trey Jones.
that's the problem with like playing.
Played 30. Did he
That's the
just
problem
play
though.
all the starters 30? He did. So he basically just played all the starters 30 minutes. Keldon got 32. So it's almost like not a limitation, right? He just plays them until they get to 30, and then he plays the bench for the final 12 minutes of the game. So
yep, basically.
It's frustrating.
Good stuff. I mean, you could play again, if you want to play them, you could play them. But just with the understanding that Devin Vassell might have a 30-minute cap, and Keldon Johnson might have a 30-minute cap, and it might
definitely have a 30-minute cap.
Yeah, I mean, this game is going to be 30 in the third.
Probably.
Well, it is just
half.
Let's see, or half. Because do you remember the Bulls team? I mean, I guess Kobe White and Vooch were there, but wasn't Vooch out in that first game? It was just Kobe White. No, Vooch played. The game where the Bucks were 20-point favorites. It wasn't 20, but it was 14 when the Bulls sat DeRozan and Levine on the second leg of a back-to-back, and it was that first overtime game where the Bulls outright beat the Bucks in Milwaukee, and I was like, that's it. That's when I officially decided I'm not worrying about back-to-backs anymore, but spreads. Does Milwaukee play a back-to-back? Because I'd expect Middleton to sit. No, they don't. Okay. They're going to be full capacity.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like at a 16.5-point spread without Wemby playing, they may look at their team and be like, you know what, Middleton,
yeah,
have the night. I guess it also depends. I mean, Beasley's probable. I was gonna say Beasley was less than probable there, but would it shock you if this is a midday Giannis downgrade? None of this, when we see these type of spreads, would surprise me in the old NBA. Now, obviously, there's now the whole award system requirement and all that stuff. Only Boston is on a back-to-back here. Boston plays Sacramento on Wednesday.
Okay.
So, again, I'm just saying in that type of spread, sometimes we do see midday downgrades of players that teams have been cautious on. Middleton is very obviously the candidate for that here. So, are these national televised games?
No, I just looked it up. It's Memphis, New Orleans. Right off the jump, Ja Morant.
Right there, yeah.
And then Golden State, Boston is the game.
So, yeah. So, again, would not shock me to see Middleton as a midday downgrade or Giannis even as a midday downgrade in this sort of matchup here. So, on the Milwaukee side, though, do you play the value? Do you play the in order for them to win by 16.5 at a 250 total? Lillard or Giannis probably need to go nuts. We just saw Lillard go for 70 against Houston, a matchup nobody would have expected him to go that for.
And now he's $600 cheaper.
Right, he's cheaper. And then Giannis here is $400 cheaper. In his own right, went for 26 and 17 in that game. So they don't play any defense. We know that. Offensively, they're still a juggernaut. So are you paying premiums for Milwaukee in a big spread here?
I'm not against it. I'm also kind of indifferent about it because we have had a long history of Giannis playing 30 minutes and getting us 60 fantasy points. We've had a long history of Dame hitting 8 threes in 3 quarters. We've had a long history of Chris Middleton paying off a $6,400 price tag like it's nothing, right?
In the first half of a game, right?
In the first half of a game. He might get his 29 minutes in the 3 quarters, right? That's I'm okay getting to them because they're also getting the short slate decrease, the pricing decrease, right? Where Giannis is more than 11, should be more than 11K. Dame should be more than 9.2. Like everyone is underpriced. So
Yeah.
I will say you can get to any of these guys if you are comfortable with 3/4 of action.
Sure.
And I'll also say the one caveat here for someone like Giannis is when you have someone like Joel Embiid who plays the whole first quarter and plays the whole third quarter, you will never see him play the fourth in blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis is an early sub first, early sub third, right?
Yeah.
You could see those guys play the fourth quarter for a couple minutes, right? Just because you're like, coach, you took me out early. We were already up 25. Like, let me get some extra, like, let me get a few minutes into the fourth.
Yeah.
That's always the bonus to like those early sub guys to where you could get fourth quarter run. So
I wonder what Giannis's first quarter point prop is going to be tomorrow.
His
8.5.
first half prop is a good bet to go over.
First half, yeah, I would agree with the first half for sure. I like the little dangerously and do the first quarter props. So
I mean, I told you my sleeper article over on fantasyalarm.com today was a James Harden first quarter rebound prop.
Let's see if Sleeper's got it. Well, while we talk Sleeper, I'll just throw up the promo code for everybody. You can check it out there. If you guys haven't already checked out Sleeper app, you can scan that QR code or go to fantasyalarm.com/sleeper. From your mobile device to get a $100 deposit match. They have the pick'em games over there with the player projections. You can choose more or less on, and they have some pretty nice lines if you're comparing those to other prop sites and or sports books. Let's see. Do we got a Giannis first quarter points for Giannis? 8.5 first quarter props. He's only gone over that once in the last 5 games here.
Because he's the early sub.
That is true. That's a good point. Early
because
sub.
Anytime you get those early sub guys, it's just a little sketchier. Like Dame plays all
Dame's
12
gone
minutes.
over the last 15 points in both first quarters. So
he plays all 12 minutes of the first quarter.
Okay.
And that was a rotational thing that head coach Adrian Griffin was told, like, hey, I'm used to doing this. Giannis is used to doing this. Let's do this.
Right.
And he switched, and that's when the Bucks kind of took off when they figured out their rotations a little more. But yeah, that's why the Giannis prop is what it is and why he hasn't been as good. Do we have the first half prop?
Let me see. First half.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. I think that is a good discussion about the first quarter too, because it is a little sketchier for Giannis to.
I don't see first half on Sleeper, but maybe they have it elsewhere. So we'll check. We'll have to check it out. But they do have 4.5 points for Devin Vassell. That kind of feels. Without Wemby, that kind of feels nice. 4.5 points for Devin Vassell in the first. We'll have to see what his sub rotation looks like. I guess
I'm looking it up while we
might get some early plays in before they move the lines and everybody here. Let's move on over to Phoenix Portland while you take a look there. And this game here, I think, is an 8.5 game total. If I have that correct, let's see. It is a 8-point total here. Portland, an 8-point home dog, a 231 game total. Bradley Beal is out. Shaedon Sharpe is questionable. Grayson Allen is probable. Josh Okogie is out when it comes to injuries here. We got Theo Maledon claimed by Phoenix off waivers. Charlotte probably could have used him tonight, given their all their injury situations that they had going on today. But you got Booker at the top. I keep asking you, like, yeah, what do you think of Booker? You want to pay $10K for Booker? Well, he's $9,700 now. So on a 4-game slate, you're having an under $10K Devin Booker against Portland here. You got KD at $9,600 as well. They both haven't really paid off that tag over the last couple of slates here, but it is only 4 games. So if a guy has like a 50 fantasy point game, even if it's not paying off the price point, still pretty good from a like overall scoring perspective on a smaller slate.
Yeah, I'd get to either guy. Probably lean Booker. He has been super consistent in the passing department. Also, did you know Devin Booker is in his 9th season in the NBA? I could not believe hearing him say those words.
The 70-point game against Boston feels so long ago, right? So,
dude, holy cow. I probably lean Booker, multi-position eligible, running the point guard, playing. I mean, now that Durant's not playing heavy minutes, but 35, 36 in games
Yeah.
that Booker's played 40 plus in, right? So like getting extra minutes from Devin Booker. So I lean Booker, but obviously getting to Durant perfectly fine. Nurkic continues to smash
Another guy where we
basically
begged
every
for him to get
slate,
minutes
even
for years, and here we are.
begged, begged. Yep. Now he's
Little
just playing
revenge
30 a
game too
night
against the
finally,
team
and
that traded
that's
him. Went for 44 against them
ooh,
last time out, 18
ooh.
and 12 in that game.
Yeah, that was a unfortunate trade. For well, not an unfortunate trade, a pretty fortunate trade for
I
him
would
going
say.
from Portland to Phoenix. So he should actually probably be
Yeah, I
thanking
now have a
them
chance at a
for
ring
not
instead of a
having to pay
rebuild for
him.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely interested in Nurkic. Then the rest of it's a little,
Yeah, I mean, I still think
like
Simons is fine.
Grayson Allen.
Simons is fine for
Grayson Allen's
75.
solid.
Oh, my
Oh,
bad.
we moved on.
No,
Oh,
no,
I
you're
didn't
right. We're
realize we
looking
moved
at
on
Phoenix.
to.
I don't know why I had both teams clicked on. Yes, I would agree with you. After that, you have Gordon priced up a bit, right? 5,600.
Yeah, it's like Grayson Allen's solid. Goodwin's, if you think he can get you what he got you last game in 20 minutes, then he's fine. But the only maybe Nasir Little started, but another one of those situations where it's like, do they have 27 different wings?
Did Grayson
Who's
Allen
gonna
miss the last game, or
play
did he play?
on a give?
He played. He played. Yeah, yeah.
Grayson
I mean,
Allen
I don't
played
mind
the other
Grayson Allen
day
because
against
the minutes are so
Washington.
legit. And he's in. I mean, the steals and defense have been pretty good. He's probably my fourth man, I would say. Cheaper than Eric Gordon. The minutes are all there.
Yeah,
He's been more productive consistently than Eric Gordon of late as well. So yeah,
better
yep,
eligibility
yep. I
should
think
make
Grant
him
Allen would be
perfect.
my fourth man after Booker, Durant, and Nurkic. Moving on to Portland, as I jumped the gun earlier, you have Simons at 75, Grant at 71. Sharp being questionable here could thrust Brogdon back into that starting lineup at 66. If that ends up being the case, that's pretty appealing to me.
Yeah. And now the minutes trending upwards. I will say I don't think these shot attempts are coincidence though. Like Anthony Simons being back, and I know I know he hasn't been full capacity, but like, dude, Simons just
Mhm.
shoots so much. There's just and Shaden Sharp shoots a lot. And you know who shoots a lot? Like Scoot Henderson
Mhm.
shoots a lot, scoots a lot. 9 shots in 22 minutes. Like Jeremy Grant had a monster game in each of the games. He like I don't know. I'm not saying that Brogdon can't have a big game, and I'm not saying he won't have a big game. I'm also just looking at the shot attempts in front of me, despite the minutes going up, and being like,
Right.
Simons
I
and
mean,
Jeremy
even
Grant
to
are
that
going to
point
take
with
every
Shaden
shot
Sharp,
possible.
his shot attempts 10, 7, 12
Yeah,
last 3 games there. But if Brogdon moves into the starting lineup, the price point's what the appeal is for me. $600 is there.
sure, sure, agreed,
You have
agreed.
Ayton obviously going up against Nurkic, but centers have had a tough time against Yusuf Nurkic this year. Now Ayton had 37 fantasy points, 18 and 8 in that game against Phoenix. Um, again, there aren't a ton of centers on this slate, obviously, because it's only 4 games. I don't know where you have Ayton, but like I would have him obviously behind Valanciunas at like a slightly more expensive price
Yep.
tag. Probably would have Nurkic over him as a similar price point. And then at Boston, I mean, if Porzingis plays, probably have Porzingis over
Yeah.
Ayton here as well.
Well, even conversely, if Porzingis doesn't play, you might even have like
Well, we'll
Nevis
see.
Keita
Well, I mean, I would play
over
Al
him.
Horford over
Like,
Ayton probably, but I mean, right, like,
yeah, no,
yeah,
Horford 59. He's cheaper. I would rather play Al Horford. I'd probably play Xavier Tillman for like $1,500
right.
less if Tillman started. I don't know. Like we just were talking about Brogdon on the
Yeah.
pecking order. Where's Aiton on the pecking
He
order
at
in
least
terms of
gets some numbers
shots? I
because of the
mean,
the rebounding, but like the points of depth. I mean,
sure,
again, we talk
sure.
volume all the time. You're looking at a guy that's taken single digit shot attempts now in 4 of the last 5. So
Dude, there is 40 shots going to Simons and Grant, right? Like that is 40 shots. And they're like good shots.
Mhm.
Like both those dudes are scoring like a lot of points. these other people are just falling by the wayside. Scoot's been good off the bench. I would, if Brogdon moved into the starting lineup, I would like Scoot a little
Sure.
bit more because then Scoot
Yeah,
might
it's
have
good.
the
I had
whole
double
second
double the
unit
other
to
day.
himself.
First career double double against Utah, 23, 2 and 10 in
Yep.
that game. So good to see him start coming around after some like dreadful shooting begin his career there. Let's finish this off. We got Boston Golden State again. Boston's a 5.5 point road favorite over Golden State here. Jason Tatum at $9,500. Again, we're getting some like short slate pricing on these guys. They're all been decreased a bit, so you can actually build a lineup. But Tatum at 95, Jaylen Brown coming up with a ceiling game, went for 51 against Orlando there, 31 actual points scored. Again, Zinger 76, Derek White 7K, Holiday 67, Horford 59, Hauser's 49. You can pretty much play any one of the guys that I just mentioned if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think Boston's another team that's
Them and the
severely
Pelicans?
underpriced. Yeah, I mean, like I know Tatum hasn't obviously been like the player I think most people thought he would, at least from a fantasy perspective. I think people probably, I mean, I expected him to average a double double, like especially because
Yeah.
Porzingis isn't the best rebounding
He's
center, and
close. He's 27 and 9.
he is close. I'm not sitting here saying
No, I
he's
know.
having like any type of bad season. He has had like a lot of poor shooting nights lately, which has probably kind of played into that. Because he's definitely hit a little
Right.
skid.
And we've talked
He's
about this with the Celtics, right?
um
They're too good, right? Like they don't
they're too
need to
good.
rely. Now Tatum
Right.
still leads the team in shots, leads the team in scoring, and like you said, we're
Yep.
talking about as if
Yep.
Tatum's averaging like 17 points a game and not 27 points a game. But from a
No.
fantasy perspective, to your point, like a guy that's 9,500 that's scoring 27 a game, you'd think would be putting up 50 plus a night, and he's really giving you
Correct.
47 and a
Correct.
half, 47.8, right? So yeah, you pick
Dude, and he's been
yeah.
10K. And he's been 10K all year, right? So that has been, but now he's not. He's 95. And this is a pretty good matchup. Like it's one of the games with the close spread. Like we have a game with a 16.5 point spread. We have a game with an 8 point spread against a really young team. We have no idea what Ja Morant's going to look like and what Memphis is going to look like on a back-to-back. Like
Yeah.
Boston didn't play today. I know they play the following day, but Golden State, we have no, like they don't know what they're doing either. So um any of these Boston plays are incredibly interesting. How would you, Derek White at 7K? I would probably have to
Sure.
have Porzingis to get to. Maybe not. I don't know. Like if Porzingis was out, I'd be definitely more comfortable there. But if Porzingis is out, Horford's one of the first people
Yeah,
I'm plugging
100%.
at 50.
And again, he's been pretty good even off the bench this year, but we've seen what I always think like, oh, like Zinger's out, but they're not going to give Al Horford like no, they do. They play him 34 minutes. He was just out there. So
They do.
and again, they roll deep. You want to go Sam Hauser, you know what his role is going to be like off the bench. Most nights, sure, you only got 16 against Orlando there. But for the most part, he's giving you 20-ish plus off the bench. Could maybe use his offense a bit to spread the floor. You know, you'll never pick the right Peyton Pritchard day. But he has had 3 of them now in the last 4 games. And like you said, if for whatever reason everybody gets ruled out, there are some super darty bench guys, or we're not going to go too far there. Golden State's interesting. Now, Chris Paul's questionable. Draymond Green, we know, is out for at least the next 3 weeks. Andrew Wiggins been coming off the bench, has played really well the last 2 games off the bench for them. Steph Curry just had his 3-point streak snapped. So maybe he's, looking to get that going again here. Another team that, like, after Curry, super cheap. But do you like any of them?
Yep. Clay has been really good over the last few games. 28, 24, 30 actual in 3 straight for Clay. He's been shooting the ball really well. This is all on the heels of like all the contract talk and all like that the contract's completely pulled off the table. Pretty convenient that he starts making all these shots. Podziemski is so hit or miss with production. I mean, he has 40 points, 25, 40, 22, 40, 27. Do we get 40? But the minutes are super consistent, and I imagine they're only going to get better if there's no Chris Paul here. I'd be okay getting to 6,200 Chris Paul if he's going to continue to play 30 minutes. I expect him to make a few more shots than 1-4, 2 of 7. Chris Paul's better than that. So definitely get to Paul. Podziemski. Wiggins is definitely interesting. They asked him after the game what he thinks about coming off the bench, and he said, if this is what I have to do to get out of the doghouse, then so be it. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. And of course, he's going to play terrible, and then we're going to get Kuminga actually playing. It's
really
really
don't
hard
know.
to predict the rest of this
no
rotation because even Looney, 26, 27 minutes.
Yeah, they
15
played
minutes for
Jackson
no
Davis
reason. No foul trouble, nothing. Played Jackson Davis. Didn't even really play Dario Saric. Like, he played only
Rudy
15 minutes. Like, it's really, really, really challenging. I think to really like anything past Wiggins, you would need Chris Paul out, because then I feel like that would open up minutes for Moody, and that would open up a few more minutes for So other than that, it's just kind of a wait and see.
I agree.
After Curry.
All right, let's get a lineup build going here. What's your first plug? Tough question, I know. Zach Collins, 49.
Yeah, probably. I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say Valanciunas.
Could still get the
like I also understand. Yeah, I also understand like the
pricing for Collins just makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. What's our spend? Booker? Okay. I was sure you're gonna go Ja. Good job there. Booker's good.
I mean, we can always build it. We can always build a Ja.
We'll do that on the 5 o'clock show. Let's go down here. Probably Podziemski is probably in there. I like Murphy at 58. 54.33 a play. Let's see.
54.
Grayson Allen, I guess, probably. Bobby
Power
Poe,
forward,
who just doesn't get extra run.
Wiggins.
Brandon will play 30 minutes. We know that.
Brandon will play 30, yeah. Yeah, sad. Free Trey Jones. That's all I got to say.
A forward and a power forward here.
Wiggins?
Yeah, Wiggins is fine. Where is he?
We're just at an
it's a 4-game slate. There's most of this is gonna suck. $5,600. Grayson works. Let's go Kuminga. Not Kuminga. Herbert only played 19. We got in foul trouble. We said there.
Yeah, he got an early foul trouble, and then there was just no point.
Grayson.
I think Grayson
the minutes there. All right, this is an example lineup for everybody. Build around Booker, Podziemski, Murphy, Wiggins, Valanciunas, Brandon Allen, and Collins. It's a 4-game slate. Not a ton of value yet opening up. We'll see if anything does happen, or if you want to throw some darts in some of these blowout matchups, you certainly can do it. We'll have the playbook out for everybody. Again, just 4 games. James and I will be back live 5 o'clock Eastern time to get you all ready for the latest news and updates. But for now, we'll catch y'all later.